Hey everybody, NWA Prepper here. I want to talk a little bit about distribution today. It's a beautiful day. God has certainly blessed my area, or certainly me today. I spent a wonderful evening with my family last night, and this morning we all worked together and broke up some supplies that we've been gathering for a while into a couple of different piles. They need to go different places, and so we've split up, and part of my family is going one direction to take things to our primary location, our primary bug out location, and then I'm taking a truckload to our secondary location. Not quite a truckload, but for me it's a truckload. A lot of stuff, a lot of effort. So it's important to distribute your stuff. You don't want, what is it they say, all your eggs in one basket? Well, that's important, because one wildland fire can take out, our cabin can be gone in one fire. And if we had all of our supplies at our cabin, then we would just be out of luck. If we had everything, all of our preps in our residence, in our home, and we had a house fire, or we had to leave, or we couldn't get to it in the event of an emergency, we couldn't get back home, then we would be out of luck. All of our preparedness plans, supply-wise, would be worthless. Our knowledge base and our mindset would be perfectly fine. Because you can lose all your stuff, but you can't lose your knowledge and your skill sets. There's a time in your life that you'll lose that too, but for right now, what I'm saying is that disasters, thieves, those things, your physical stuff is subject to their own little disasters. A wildland fire out near our cabin might not be damaging to anybody else, because they would, the fire department would be able to stop around most of the homes. Where we live, we don't have terrible, fast-moving top crown fires like they have out west and down south. We have a different kind of fire here. And so for us, it's a little more controllable. But if that happens, it's still devastating. Nobody wants to lose what they have to a flood or a fire or a tree. So this is something that at two of our locations, there's not somebody there all the time. Well, 1.5 of our locations. There's not somebody that sees our cabin or our little building at the other place. They don't see those all the time. They have to go out of their way to check on them. And so if a tree falls because of a storm and lands in the middle of our building, our cabin, it's devastating. Even more devastating because there may not be anybody around it for days, weeks, because we don't go out there every week. We go out about every other month, because we have to split our time over a couple different locations. And now most of the time, my MAG team members that reside at those properties often go by. But unless they're trying to pay attention, they may miss a tree down on there for a couple of days. And then if it's storming, it's probably raining. And so then I've got all that damage. Now, some of our stuff would be protected because we put it in buckets and totes. So if the container was intact, it should be all right for a day or two. But some of our stuff isn't. How are you going to distribute your stuff? If you're an apartment dweller and you only have your closet and your backpack in your car, what do you put where? That's a big decision. Do you rent a locker across town at the bus station and put in an extra bug out bag? If you have the availability to stash some stuff, a few buckets in somebody's garage here or a few buckets in someone's garage there, what do you put in those buckets? You know, that's distributing your stuff is nerve-wracking to say the least, because what do I want to put where? Because, you know, nobody that I know is independently wealthy, and so I can't go put an AK and 500 rounds of ammo and mags and an extra set of tack gear and survival stuff and food and clothing and new boots, and I can't do it. You just got to remember to do your best. And so when I took and put out my first cache spot, when I was building my dotted line trail between my primary residence and when I only had one other option, when I started doing that, my primary concern was not having an MBR or a rifle or a shotgun at each location. My primary concern was having ways to shelter, ways to feed myself, and to purify water, to collect and purify water. So shelter, food, and water were my primary concerns. And then if I can add in another, you know, a couple items that may have been lost, then I'll do so. But I didn't, nor do I go crazy trying to make sure that every spot has every piece of equipment that I'll need, because that's impractical. You know, it's just not practical. So that's what I focus on. And I just took a wrong turn. No, I didn't. I'm trying a different way to go where I am. And I try this just about every time. I try to go a different way. That way I can learn different routes and get familiar with them. And also people get used to seeing my vehicle on those different routes. So distribute your stuff as you feel the need. But it definitely you want it to be spread out a bit, where it's not all in just one location. You need to diversify it. Even if it just means taking a little tote and asking one of your relatives to slide under a tote with some extra clothes and some emergency equipment under their extra bedroom bed. You can do it. Take baby steps. You certainly can't just go out and click your feet or your heels together and there's a ready-made bug out retreat with everything that you need. It just doesn't happen that way for most people. Take baby steps, stay within your budget, stay on a plan, and you can do it. Let's get ready.